Okay. So here's the thing. I'm not scripting this at all. This is gonna be all over the fucking place. So I do apologize if it is. Um, and I'm gonna name some names here, right? When I'm talking about this, I feel very strongly about this stuff. But here's the thing. I don't I don't endorse hating these people. I definitely don't hate any of the people that I'm talking about. I just disagree with the way they do things, right? And I disagree very strongly. But if you hear me talking some shit, just know it's not for no reason, and it's not because like, oh, we should fucking kill these guys. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying we should hate on these guys and throw garbage at them and shit. No, that's terrible. I'm not like when I talk about these different music theory YouTubers specifically. That's what this video is about, is music theory. Okay? Now that we got that out of the way, now that you know this video is going to be a fucking mess, my name is Anthony Watts. I have been a singer, songwriter, musician for like 10 years now, going on 11 years, I think. I've taught myself many instruments. I did go to orchestra for a while in like junior high, like 7th grade. Uh, but I wasn't really like, I picked up how to play the instrument and I just went from there. I don't know how to read music. I don't know a whole lot of music theory. I don't know that stuff, right? Any knowledge of music I really just picked up by myself, or I picked up from several different places. But I didn't have like a dedicated teacher teaching me many of the instruments that I learned. I taught myself the banjo, I taught myself the guitar, and I mostly taught myself the bass and stuff like that, right? I learned all of the basics and even some of the more advanced stuff like by myself, or just by observing other people playing stuff and trying to copy that, right? So, my a lot of my music, like, I'm not really uh like a master musician, right? But I just want to get into. I'm just bringing all that stuff up to tell you that it's like, I know what I'm talking about. I don't fuck around with music. I take music very seriously. I take songwriting very seriously, right? It's still essentially a hobby for me, but it's a hobby I take very seriously, right? I do have like 5 albums out, but the like 3 of them are not very good because they're from a long time ago. They're pretty good, I guess, but this isn't a plug. I'm just saying I have 5 albums just to let you know that I care, and I'm working on my 6th album right now. I'm not really plugging it, but I'm just letting you know that, like, yes, I take music very seriously. I've been taking it seriously for a long time, even though some people have told me like, oh, you should take music seriously, just because I haven't like gone to school, just because I haven't gone to a teacher for this stuff. And that's the thing, that's the mindset that really pisses me off. So I'm just gonna get into it. The mindset that So here's the thing. We all know that college is a fucking scam, right? It feels like it should be common knowledge, but there are a lot of people that are like, no, what are you talking about? College is a scam. You should go to college and learn. It's good for you. Yes, learning is good. I'm not saying, oh, be stupid. I'm not like, what's the word for that? Like anti-intellectual. I'm not an intellectual person. I'm not against that stuff. But college itself, like the way it's structured, is a fucking scam, right? The way that it's like, oh, you have to learn this stuff or else you're a fucking dumb piece of shit and you don't have a place in society. And people don't say that necessarily, and I'm kind of being hyperbolic, but that's kind of the vibe it gives off sometimes, right? But here's the thing. It's like, oh, you should go to college, but also it's really fucking expensive, right? It's insanely expensive to go to college and stuff like that. And that's like that's a point that music theory YouTubers bring up a lot. Sorry, I have to adjust some stuff. That's a point that music theory YouTubers, they bring up a lot, is that, oh, college is expensive. Buy my guitar course instead, or buy my whatever course instead, right? For whatever instrument it may be. And that also to me is kind of horseshit, right? Obviously, if it works for some people, it works, right? That's fine. Uh, like, I'm not saying, plus they're making their money. I guess I can't get too mad, but also I can get kind of mad because it's like, well, your courses are like, I don't know. I just personally, I don't buy into that stuff. I think it's kind of fishy, and that's not I'm not saying anything definitively, right? I'm just saying, to me, I don't really fuck with that stuff. I don't really fuck with buying someone's guitar course and stuff like that, because really the main subject of this video is that you don't need to learn music theory. And the one argument that really pisses me off, that really pisses me off, is when people say, "Oh, well, you already know music theory, even if you don't learn it from a book. You still know the music theory because we invented all of these stupid made-up words for all of these things, so you already know it." It's like, no, the the stuff without a name came first. You just placed names onto it, right? You can't say like I don't know. I can't think of a good parallel for that, but it's not really like, I guess technically I know music theory. I know plenty of music theory without having gone to school for it. But the way they say it, I don't really, it's more like, "Oh, well, you already know music theory. You might as well get better at it by buying my guitar course." Or like going to college, I guess. Some people do endorse going to college for school. But it's like, I don't know, man. I see some of these people at Berkeley playing, and they're insanely talented people, right? And obviously they work tirelessly to perfect their craft, a lot of these people at Berkeley. But at the same time, a lot of that music kind of sounds samey to me. I'm going to be honest. It sounds samey and it sounds lame. I don't care if you can play a million notes in a sequence. Can you make it sound good? That's what music should be about. What sounds good to you? And if that sounds good to them, then that's perfectly fine, right? But I feel like the problem is, for a lot of people, like, and even I found myself being a victim of this for a long time. It's like, ah, man, well, maybe I should, go to a teacher or something like that. Maybe I'll eventually hit a ceiling. That's the one thing they try and sell you all the time. "Oh, are you finding yourself in the intermediate plateau? Buy my guitar course. And they always talk about that people plateau at a certain point, and that's not true. In some cases, it may be true, but for a lot of people, it's really just about how motivated you are in general. It's not about, oh, there's only so good you can get on your own, right? And that is true to a certain point. But it's also not, right? It's one of those things where it's like it's really all about how motivated you are to get better. And you don't need outside help always. And if you want it, then that's fine, right? But I'm saying for people that just want to learn guitar for fun, or maybe they have a lot of song ideas in their head and they just want to get it out, right? That's how I was. I just sort of fell into being a songwriter. Excuse the voice crack. I fell into being a songwriter, right? I didn't mean to become like a guitarist and a guitar player and a bass player and stuff like that. It just sort of happened. I think I saw Les Claypool playing and I was like, "Whoa, that's cool." I saw him playing the double bass on Mr. Crinkle. I'm sure you've all heard of Primus, right? I saw him playing the double bass on Mr. Crinkle, and I heard it, and I was like, "Wow, that's super fucking cool." And so then I wanted to pick it up, and I wanted to not necessarily write songs like him, but I just wanted to write songs with something, right? Because I'd always had little melodies in my head ever since I was very young, and I still do sometimes. But you know, um, obviously, as the years go by, I'm a very different songwriter than I was many years ago. But maybe I'll get into that. I don't know. But my main point I'm trying to get at is that if you like a lot of the modern music scene on the internet, at least, I don't know much about real life because I'm not in the real life music scene, right? That's not something I particularly aspire towards. And that's the issue some people have. "Oh, but that's such a waste. Why are you going to learn all this stuff and not, commodify it and not go out and make some money with it?" And that's the thing, is that's the problem I have with a lot of these music YouTubers, is that like, "Oh, you need to be realistic. You need to be realistic, and you might as well make music into a job if you get good enough at it." Right? And that's horseshit to me. That's always been horseshit to me. And a lot of people have tried to tell me otherwise, like, "No, it's good," but it's like, to me, it seems like, why would I turn something I love into a job? Then I wouldn't love it as much anymore. "Oh, but wouldn't you want to go out?" Like, no, it's like a totally different world, man. It is. I've done one live show before, and it was like the worst, most stressful thing of my entire life. It was fun. Like I had fun being once I was up on stage, it was good. It was really sick performing in front of a bunch of people. I think I did very well, but I was like, man, I don't know if I want to do this again. I don't know if I could make this into a career because it's so draining. You have to go up and like be an entertainer, and you have to, you know, you have to work the crowd and stuff like that. And you have to, and I played music specifically that I had made with that I had made so I could play like a backing track and just sing over it, right? But um like I didn't play any live instruments, but if I was playing live instruments, I would have to practice like a shit ton, and I did play like two songs just on my guitar. But yeah, it was an extremely stressful experience. And it's like, man, I could not. This is such a draining job. This is such a draining idea of a job, right? And the thing is that I care about songwriting. I don't give a shit about playing in front of a bunch of people. I want to write songs. I want to write more songs. I want to write every song there is to write, you know? And that's literally a lyric I wrote. That's all I care about is just writing something that I think is really cool. And it doesn't matter like I don't really give a shit about like, oh, what if you can't play that live? I don't give a shit. I don't care. And for a while I almost like fell for it, right? And it's still like I'm still kind of recovering from that. I'm still recovering from that ideal of like, oh, I need to write this in mind so I can play it live. And I'm still like that's an issue I have is that when I'm in the process of writing a song, I cannot immediately play it and sing it at the same time. I used to do that a lot where when my songs were a lot simpler, I would just like play two or three chords, and then I would just improvise and sing over it, and then I would refine it later, you know. But a lot of what I did with my songwriting is that I would write down the instrumental first, not write it down. I would play the instrumental first and record it, and then I would sing over it, and then I would come up with lyrics for it. And that's kind of what I've been falling back into recently, and getting over the idea that it's like, oh, you need to be able to play it and sing it at the same time. No, because I don't necessarily want to be a career musician. I don't want to be a career like doing live shows, just playing the same songs over and over. That's not what I enjoy. And if that's not what you enjoy, then do not listen to these fucking music theory YouTubers, okay? Again, I'm not saying like, oh, let's boycott their guitar courses or something like that. I'm not saying that, you know? I'm saying if what I was just saying, what I was just rambling about, if that sounds anything like you, do not listen to these people. Enjoy making music. Enjoy it. And who cares? Who cares if you can't play it live, right? If you want to play live, then that's fine. But it's not something I really want to do, right? That's not something because again, like I was saying before, why make something you love? Why turn it into a job? Why turn it into work? Because work is work. Like it's a bullshit idea. Just I don't know who started it. Started probably a long time ago. It's like if you enjoy what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Horse shit. Bullshit. Sorry for the mouth sounds. Anyone with misophonia or whatever that's called. Uh, that is bullshit. It's not how that works. I know plenty of people that do stuff that they enjoyed doing as a hobby before, and they turn it into a job, maybe something a little more realistic, maybe being a mechanic or something like that. Maybe they enjoyed messing around with being an electrician, or they were somewhat of an engineer, enjoyed coding or something like that, right? You turn it into a job, it's still a fucking job, right? And that's even the thing with YouTubers now, That's what YouTube used to be, just about like, oh, I just want to make fun videos. I want to make stuff that I think is entertaining and that maybe I think will also entertain other people, and I'll put it out into the world. And now it's a fucking job. Now it's like a 9 to 5. Are you fucking serious? That's what you want to do? You want to turn creating art into a 9 to 5? Are you like think about like sit with that for a second. You really want to turn something like art into a 9 to 5 because that's what you're doing essentially. And it works for plenty of people. Doesn't work for everybody, right? That's the thing that these people, and that's the thing, they mean well. A lot of these people do mean well. I'm not saying that like Adam Neely and the Samurai Guitarist are part of an evil cabal that want to eat children and they want to make you, oh, we want to make your lives miserable. We are the puppet masters. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying these people do mean well because they made it work and they found a way to, turn something they love doing, turning it into a job. But, a lot of people, just in general, not even just in music, a lot of people in general don't take into account the outliers, don't take into account outsiders, right? Different people. Because a lot of, especially with like neurodivergent people often do not fit into the puzzle piece that is life, right? I know that's like probably why, what is it, Autism Speaks or whatever. I know that they're like a terrible corporation, but that's why their logo is like a puzzle, right? Because they're trying to make you fit into the puzzle piece. That's why Autism Speaks is bad. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to conform, you don't have to be molded and turn yourself into clay, and you don't have to be sculpted into what everybody else thinks is perfect. Sculpt yourself, okay? And this goes with like anything, but sculpt yourself into what you think is good, especially when it comes to something like art. And don't let yourself think, and that's my main idea with why I am so against what a lot of these music YouTubers say, because again, I know they mean well. I bet you that, like, I can't think of, what was his name, Tentacruel, I think. I'm trying to think of like other music theory YouTubers. I don't memorize a lot of their names. Because again, I don't like hate watch these people. Sometimes I'll watch their videos and I find them entertaining a lot of times. I do like watching them break down music, and I do think a lot of the things they do is interesting. I used to like love watching Adam Neely, but I just kind of stopped once his content started making me angry. Then that's when I stopped watching him, and that's okay because I don't hate him. I bet you those guys are nice people, right? I bet you they're very pleasant people to be around in real life. And I'm sure if we had an in-person conversation, we could have something very constructive. And that's what I'm trying to do. Like I do apologize if I am being destructive. I don't think I am. I do come across a little rash sometimes when I'm talking about this stuff, but that's because I feel so passionately about this to anybody that is an outsider in this space, that just someone similar to me, right? Someone similar to me that sees all this stuff and it just discourages them. And if it is discouraging you, then stop watching it. Don't listen to all of that stuff, right? You don't need to learn music theory to be a good musician. Many good musicians are self-taught. And sometimes you say that, and then some people, I don't even think the YouTubers I was talking about specifically, but I have seen people be like, oh, your favorite self-taught musician actually did learn from one person. Okay. Still self-taught for like the most part, right? He just wanted to get a little better, so he learned from other people, right? I'm not like anti-learning. I'm just anti like the college route, right? Anti thinking that you need to do some sort of higher education to be better at something. And it's not like, again, it's not really the most popular idea in the world, because a lot of people still are like, well, yeah, college costs a lot, but I gotta go or else it's not realistic, right? There's no other way to make it in this world, and there is. I want you to know that there is. You just gotta look for it, and you just gotta work for it. Sometimes you gotta work harder, and if that's not your thing, again, I'm not saying that college isn't hard work. College is hard fucking work. A lot of those guys that are in Berkeley, they work tirelessly to make it so that they can play all of those notes, that they can play, they know every single note they're playing, and they can sing them and play it at the same time on their keyboards, on their basses, on their guitars. And they're amazingly talented people. Okay? But I'm saying you don't have to do that, right? And a lot of these people, because they feel so pressured, a lot of these people will, when they're doing recordings and stuff, maybe for like their Instagram or their YouTube or something like that, they'll splice some recordings, or they'll change some of the notes they played, like using MIDI or some stuff like that. Like, if you feel pressured to do that, now if you just want it to sound good and you just want to put on a performance, I guess that's fine. But I personally think it does more harm than good doing stuff like that. You know, that my favorite thing about my music specifically is that, or most of my favorite artists, you know, but my favorite thing about a song is the mistakes and the humanity inside of it. Hearing people play bum notes. You know, people are so scared of bum notes, right? That's like Rick Beato when he was interviewing Billy Strings a while ago. It's just something that, like, and again, I'm not saying Rick Beato is a bad person. I really want to emphasize this because I know people get like really heated. Okay, I just want to make sure that people know. Like, I don't hate Rick Beato, but I was seeing him interview Billy Strings. I actually do love a lot of Rick Beato's interviews. I watched the Les Claypool one. Anyway, he was talking to Billy Strings and he was like, "Wow, you didn't play a single bum note," you know? And then, Billy was like, "Oh, there were bum notes in there. I was just playing too fast for you to hear them," right? And that's probably true. Like, he could probably hear them himself, but it's not like it doesn't even if there was like a bunch of bum notes, it doesn't matter, you know? Like, a lot of the music I make specifically, or like one of my favorite artists is Tom Waits. If you don't know who Tom Waits is, he's a fantastic musician. He's been making, I think his very first album was like 1969, and his latest album was probably like 2004, 2008. Like, he has a very wide and vast discography. And my favorite thing about especially his later years is how imperfect the music is. How perfectly imperfect the music is. Now I'm not saying like, oh, purposely make your music shitty. No, just play it. Just play. If you mess up, that's fine. It's fine. It's okay to fuck up. It doesn't have to be like knowing every single note you play. A lot of great musicians, not even famous ones, a lot of great musicians that'll probably never get found are just amazing songwriters. They're amazing at composing pieces, but they'll just, and they don't have any formal training and stuff like that. And there's still little imperfections in there, but it doesn't matter. It's okay. You don't have to strive for perfection. You don't even have to strive for good enough. Strive for what you like, you know? And again, if what you like is hearing those Berkeley musicians play a shit ton of notes really fast, if that's the kind of music you enjoy, or Charles Berthoud or whatever his name is, I apologize if I mispronounce his last name. But that he's like that Berkeley bassist, and he plays like really fast, and he plays lots of impressive stuff. But like, if that sounds good to you and you want to play like that, that's fine. Again, I'm not disparaging these people that are doing this. I'm disparaging the side of them that, like, again, the way to hell is paved with good intentions, right? These people mean well. They want you to succeed. That's why they're sharing their music with the world, and that's why they're sharing their skills through guitar courses or even through free YouTube videos and stuff like that. They're sharing these things because they are passionate about music, and they're like, I want to help people discover their love for music. And that's something I love doing too. But again, my main point in this video is that if anything I said here resonates with you, just teach yourself and work hard. There's still, even when you are teaching yourself, you're still learning stuff from like YouTube videos. You're learning stuff from observation. There's no such thing as like being completely self-taught, right? And being self-taught is, I'd say it is kind of a flex, but it's also not a flex, because a lot of music can be pretty intuitive, especially if your brain is already kind of inclined for that stuff, right? But being self-taught isn't like, you don't deserve a gold medal, just like you don't deserve a gold medal for going to college for 8 years and learning. You don't deserve a medal for that. It's impressive, but it's not like, it shouldn't be like a pissing contest, right? Who's pissing higher up on the tree? Isn't that what pandas do or something like that? It's not like a territorial pissing contest. It's not what it has to be. I'm just saying, just consider that, let that set in your mind, okay? Because that, it really is a shame seeing people get discouraged just because they can't play guitar like their favorite guitarists. They can't write stuff Because if they want to write stuff that sounds like their favorite guitarist, but it's like, oh man, it just takes so much effort. And it's just, it doesn't have to, right? Music can be really easy. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to write complex stuff. Like some of your, you know, maybe you don't really, I mean, I don't really listen to a whole lot of Bob Dylan, but Bob Dylan, he plays a lot of really simple stuff, especially on his first album. And he's not that good of a singer, but damned if he isn't a great songwriter. And that's what you can be. You don't have to be the best singer. You don't have to be the best guitar player. You just have to write stuff that you enjoy. Okay? And don't let other people pressure you, even if they're not doing it on purpose. You know, or even if they do mean well, don't let other people pressure you into saying, "Oh, well, you should keep it realistic." Because there is no realistic. You can still fail. You can still fail doing anything, right? If you are extremely disciplined, and let's say you're like a cellist or something, and you're extremely disciplined, and you were like a child prodigy growing up, you know, and you go through school and you play in a big orchestra in college, and you can still fail doing all of that stuff. You can still fail going these what is it, like the normal routes, I guess, going the route that is societally accepted. I can't speak right now for some reason. Like, you can still fail doing that stuff, so you might as well just try doing it your way, right? That's really, I guess that's kind of all I have to say. So again, I'm sorry if this was kind of despondent, if that's the correct word. I'm sorry if this was kind of all over the place. And again, to like the people I mentioned, Adam Neely, Samurai guitarist, Tenta Cruel, I think that was all of them. But you know, if you felt personally attacked by this, I do apologize, right? But this is just how I feel, and you know, if there's ways I could word stuff better, you know, then again, I do apologize. There probably is, but this is just like how I feel about certain stuff, and I'm not gonna apologize for fucking voice cracks. I'm not going to apologize for, you know, my opinions. I'm not gonna apologize for that stuff. Just like you won't apologize for yours, right? The way you feel, because again, music is a very subjective thing. There's no right way to do things. It doesn't have to be a science. It can be a science if you really want it to be. If you want music to be about like fucking math, you know, if you want to be like, oh, this is the mathematically perfect E major chord, you know, that's fine. Again, I don't care, but anyway, yeah. So I just wanted to get those thoughts out of my head. They've been in my head for a long time, and you know, I have tried several times before, but it doesn't really always come out right. So I feel like I'm happy with the way I said things here. You know, not everything, but I want to leave you here with a song recommendation of someone who was completely self-taught. I listen to a lot of folk music, a lot of people that were recorded by Alan Lomax. If you don't know Alan Lomax, he has recorded many different people from across the United States, many American folk singers and gospel singers, all kinds of people from all around the country. I believe Alan Lomax found Muddy Waters, if I'm correct. I actually don't know if he found the person I'm talking about, Elizabeth Cotten. That might have been Pete Seeger or someone in the Seeger family. They recorded for the Library of Congress. But the song I want to recommend to you is called I'm Going Away by Elizabeth Cotten. It's really good. You should check it out. You should check out her music. It's got a lot of soul, and it's got a lot of heart in it. I guess not soul in the sense of like soul music, but I mean like humanity in it. It's got a lot of humanity, and they're very good songs. I think you should go check them out. So, thanks for listening to this if you got this far. See ya. Okay, this is awkward.